Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to the Versus Stars podcast. How are my loyal listeners? Thank you for your continued support. And remember, click the subscribe button, everybody. It's an amazing episode because Jorge Alvarez boards the mothership. He's the writer and creator of Exodus Z, now on Kickstarter. Now come aboard as we go traversing the stars. Hello, Mr. Alvarez. Thank you so much for coming to the Traversing Stars podcast.
Thank you so much for letting me be here. I greatly appreciate it.
The pleasure is mine. So I always start off with the question of inspiration. So what inspired your love of comics and who your earliest influences?
My inspiration for the book, or just my inspiration in general?
In general.
Okay. I started in the mid '90s, started reading comic books here and there. I didn't really have a collection. I read a little bit of a Blue Beetle, out of anybody. I always liked to read those books that not many people were talking about. During the time of Superman and Batman, I'm reading Blue Beetle and Captain Atom, things like that. But um, the inspiration that I've had is just I've always been into just seeing all these superheroes, seeing all these stories develop. Nothing like the real world, obviously. And it's just slowly and steadily, it just started becoming, I wouldn't say an obsession, but it started clicking in my head of I want to be more into the comic book environment than anything else.
So you're the writer of Exodus Z. What inspired the creation of the comic?
Exodus Z is, what's the best way to say it? It was a split thought. I was watching I forgot the name of the show with my wife. It's a zombie show, Korean zombie show. I think it's
All of Us Are Dead.
Everybody's Dead. All of
All
Us
of
Are
Us Are
Dead.
Dead. Yes, I've watched it with my wife.
And I think there's a part that a girl starts praying, and I made the joke of telling my wife, "Can you imagine she dies, and then somehow the story leads up to her in heaven, and then there's another zombie apocalypse?" And then she started saying like, "That's ridiculous," and I was like, "It is ridiculous, but that's why I like it." Then I started thinking about it. I'm like, I don't think I've seen, heard, or anything of a zombie apocalypse in heaven. Started checking, went on Google, started looking for movies, cartoons, comics, and I was just like, I think I have something here. Let me try to figure this out. And then little by little, I just started developing more scenes than anything else, to the point that I was just like, these 5 scenes have a good flow to them. I'm like, I could figure something out. I could definitely put issue one together. And slowly and steadily, Exodus D started coming to life.
Sounds very cool. So can you give our listeners kind of like your pitch for the title?
Man, I have like 3 pitches. Um, the best pitch that I have actually for it, I just did it. I was talking to a buddy of mine that's actually running his own Kickstarter, and he was telling me like, let's cross. I'll talk about his book. He talks about my book in the updates. And let me look for it real quick. And it just clicked, and I was like, okay, you know what? This is gonna be my new pitch. I think I've written down 3 different pitches. So just bear with me real quick. It's my quick elevator pitch, and it's basically Exodus Z, issue 1, is a 24-page zombie story of biblical proportions. Following the final Exodus, we find the preacher attempting to save his parishioners from the zombie apocalypse. Unfortunately, chaos finds a way, and not even heaven is safe. Um, Now the zombie apocalypse finds itself at the gates of heaven and starts to wreak havoc. No human, archangel, seraphim, even demons are safe. The destruction of all planes is coming, and only one thing is for certain: zombies are not picky where they're gonna eat.
Very cool. I really like that. Well done.
It's complete. It's completely. It's not even on my Kickstarter. It's on somebody else's Kickstarter. And I was like, I need to keep this. I need to write it down. So I had to separate it. I want to just update my Kickstarter, add that little blurb in there, because I fell in love with that one.
Well, you can. You have all the time to update it, so go for it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Probably after this, my next update coming soon will probably be the funding update. These past couple of days has been very graceful in the sense that it's flowed in such a way that all of a sudden I started reaching from 65%, and I think I'm right now at like 97
Oh
within
wow.
the past couple of days. So I'm blessed with that. No pun intended. And it's just it's definitely an awesome experience to have right now.
Well, hopefully, this show can push you right over the edge, get into stretch goal territory.
Definitely, we have a couple of stretch goals that we have in mind. But anything that becomes a stretch goal, I want to throw it back at the backers and just try to get them as much as they can for the money that they're putting in.
Mm. So the artist of the project is John Eppel. Am I pronouncing it right? Is it Eppel?
Yes, John
Okay.
Apple.
So when did this partnership first form?
Last year, I want to say ending of spring, early summer. Um, by then, I already had the script ready. After proofreading it 70,000 times, and then even then, I still adjust things here and there. But I was looking around. I bumped into a few Facebook groups for creators, things like that. I got a few buddies that posted that I was looking for somebody for a zombie book, and eventually one of my buddies referred me to him, which he showed me that he had worked on a story in a book called Mississippi Zombies. So I was like, oh, this is convenient, let me check out his work. And I was just like, this is cool. It's not that art that you want, that you would see in like DC or Marvel. It's that it's different, but it's so cool that you look at it and you just see how it pops, how
Mm.
it refers to what you would imagine of how grotesque and disgusting a zombie apocalypse can become,
Mm.
but still keep it clean at certain moments. Like, well, let me not say anything. I was about to spoil something. Eventually, we will, like the blurb says, we know at some point we'll get reach heaven. So it gets its moments where it's clean, and then its moments where it just gets gnarly.
So when you have an artist like Mr. Eppel, how does that change your approach to your own comic book? Like, do you feel more freedom? Do you feel that you can give him more visual creativity in the story? How does that affect your approach?
Dude, John is a boss, honestly. I confronted, that was wrong word, not confront. I spoke to him and I was telling him, look, this is my first book. Here's a script. Check it out. I'm very open to ideas. I'm very open to how we could arrange certain things. He'll go over the pages. For the most part, he'll probably tell me, look, here's a recommendation. Instead of it being panel 1, 2 on top, 3 in the middle, and 4 or 5 in the bottom, I think 1 and 2 could become one panel. 3 could actually be split into 2 different angles, and then we'll just go back and forth until we figure out what we believe together as a creative team would be the best outcome that the readers would enjoy. And his input has been 100% amazing so far.
Well, like I said, the book, I got a chance to look at a preview of it. It looks fantastic. So Exodus Z has some religious undertones, quite obviously. I mean, once you have zombies entering heaven, there's some religious undertones to the story. So what does this suggest about God if zombies can exist within heaven?
Okay, so the story itself, if you start paying attention, you notice at the end of the day, it's a zombie apocalypse. It doesn't exist, the zombie apocalypse. I'm not talking about religion. Now, I've always tried to avoid. I don't want to upset people. There's certain people that probably won't like the book for obvious reasons,
Mm.
but the book itself, it's a horror book, but it doesn't take itself 100% seriously. So we try to make it into a horror, but make it silly. Um, you'll notice in probably in specific panels that there's just a wacky comment, or the zombies attacking you and there's like a toothbrush coming out of the neck, things like that. Um, we just wanted to have an awesome zombie story and just go all out, regardless of the location, whether or not heaven, hell, Earth, Jupiter, Mars. We just wanted to do something different. By no means it is to offend anyone. If they get offended, I do apologize. But at the end of the day, it's a comic book. It's a zombie comic book. Um, it's not scripture or anything like that. So it's very, it doesn't take itself seriously. But to the point of the question, um, zombies could be anywhere at this point. We make so many stories that exist. I think I saw one of a zombie in Atlantis once, and I was just like, okay. So we just went with the story, went through with it, and it's coming out really good, and a lot of people are liking it.
So obviously, when we're dealing with heaven, you have the idea of souls. These are not literally the individuals; they're souls. So how does the rules of zombies work with souls and angels and things of that nature?
Okay, so the zombies that we see on Earth in the beginning of the preview, they are 100% legitimate zombies. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Um, Trying to be careful how I say this, because there are certain things that will pop up in issue 2 about this. But the zombies eventually reach the Church of Grace, which is where the preacher is trying to save his parishioners. During that process, the best way I can explain it is there was this comedy movie where it's all these famous actors and they just get half of them get beamed up and then the rest of them get left behind on Earth.
This is the end.
This is the end. Yes, it's kind of like that idea. So when people get beamed up to the gates of heaven, they are not souls, but they're souls at the same time. They are to the sense of they're still in their human body. They're still wearing the clothes they were legitimately wearing before they got beamed up. During that transit from where they're at, there's probably like some form of walkway that reaches the gates of heaven. And while people are trying to walk to it and trying to acclimate themselves, I'm sorry, excuse me, uh, somebody gets beamed up, and that person just for some reason got bit right when he was getting beamed up. So he lands and he has basically the same human physical body spirit that everybody else has, but he's infected. So it kind of evolves in a different way. It's not that regular zombie apocalypse that we know that it's just the body, that's it, you're good, you're done. It's somewhere in the middle. Um, Eventually, we're gonna play with that in the second issue. So I'm not trying to avoid the question, but at the same time, I'm trying to make sure I could say things without spoiling anything. But there's definitely the whole series. You're gonna have what the fuck moments. You're gonna be like, really, but it benefits the story. It's to push the story forward. Like I once again, it's a zombie story. Zombies don't exist. Well, for the most part. Um, and it's just a book of fiction. So we have that wiggle room to be able to alter and change things, just so for the benefit of the story. But it will become to a point that you're gonna see in issue 2, where you're just gonna look at it and like, wow, okay, I could see that happening now that I know that this is the direction that we're going.
Mm.
Um, I know I'm being very cryptic, but at the same time, it's beneficial just because it's a major point in issue 2 that we're eventually, hopefully, we'll talk about it, and we'll see what everybody's opinion on that is.
So are we looking at zombie angels potentially?
Maybe.
Would these hypothetical zombie angels still maintain the abilities of angels?
Um, a tarnished version.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. Um, when you're visualizing what heaven is, how much of it are we going to see? Where did you get inspired by the visuals for it?
I looked around, things that I know, things that I've seen, comic books, movie shows, etc., etc. One name that always pops up is the Silver City. So I just basically told John, I was like, look, think of it as a huge fortress in a way. You know, you have your gates, you have a border around, you know, you have all your 1,000 clouds surrounding it, but it's still this big metropolis in the middle. and everybody's going to be able to walk in. They're going to be in their heaven, quite literally. And they'll just be experiencing what the perfect version of what they believe is for a city. And that's basically what heaven will be. We're going to see, besides the fact we're going to see the entrance, we're going to see a central area. We're going to see an area where certain angels, because you could consider almost some of the angels that we'll be including are going to be archangels. So you're going to see kind of like a patrol area type of thing. Best way, it's very difficult to explain it. Imagine like a government center, but it's run by the archangels, to make sure that everything's going accordingly, that there's no issues, things like that. So there'll definitely be like, I wouldn't even call it I was about to say a fortress of solitude. No, that wouldn't be the best thing. It'll basically be like a higher building where they will be centralized.
So in the Bible, angels are usually represented as warrior creatures. Is that the same kind of how they're represented in Exodus Z?
They definitely have their weapons. You could see a flaming sword, you could see the spears, you could see each angel that we're going to be including, they're going to have their proper weapon, um, which will definitely take a factor. Each one of their weapons will have some form of a holy power, to say. In the preview that I sent you, you could actually see the preacher fighting off one of the zombies, and he starts glowing to the point that he gets his cross, and the cross starts glowing. And to fight off the zombie, he actually manages to use it, and it just shot out a beam and just completely destroyed that zombie. So it's going to be a very similar style weapon, just an actual weapon, not a cross. It's going to swords, spears. I don't want to get too technical with that, but they're definitely warriors at the same time. They're
So,
peacekeepers. They're trying to make sure everything is in check.
so who's the primary protagonist of the series?
That's the trick. Um, I try. I think each issue will have a separate protagonist.
Okay.
There's no specific person, just because it's such a large area. Well, that you can imagine that it should be a large area. It's very hard to keep track of just one person. So eventually it'll change to somebody else. Maybe something will happen to that person. It's all hypothetical. And then it'll just jump to somebody else, and then like, oh shoot, we need help. We need to call somebody else. So it'll jump around. It'll definitely jump around, and it'll be a crazy phenomenon, I think would probably be a nice word of using. These 3 issues, it'll just be a crazy mess of zombies versus angels, versus humans, versus even demons at one point.
So, do you think that's interesting about angels is that they are beings of faith? The faith in their creator, faith in God. Is that faith, and will you show how that faith is shaken by the incidents going on in your story?
Yes, because the attacks eventually, for obvious reasons, we can say that there will be some form of fight between zombies versus angels. The zombies in heaven. Um, it's gonna be public. It's gonna be, you're gonna see angels fighting something, and then you're just gonna see in the background just bystanders just looking in awe, or maybe in fear, not necessarily in awe. Um, so it's definitely gonna play a factor, and it could hinder them. It could help them. Only time will tell.
If the zombies are in heaven, what does that say about hell in your world?
That no place is safe. Um, issue 1 is called "What on Earth." The titles of these issues, completely pun intended. Um, issue 2 is called "For Heaven's Sake," and issue 3 is called "Oh Hell No." So there's this, and that's where I lead up back to my previous statement. we're not trying to be that serious thing that like it's just pure gore. We add humor to it as well. That's why it's the story itself sometimes doesn't take itself seriously in certain aspects,
Mm.
but with those three titles you could kind of figure out that there's no boundary at this point.
Is it difficult to balance humor and maintain tension?
um I think the best way with this first book, I think I tried to make it like 80% horror, 20% humor,
Mm.
and that's how it started. um John took charge when he started drawing the pages, and he just added these tiny little glimpses of just like what the hell, and these tiny little moments that you're just like this 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 can't be pure horror. And when I see those moments, and I was like, okay, back to the drawing board, let me go back to the script. And then I sent it back to him like, okay, here's a new version of the script for page 5 to 10 ish, version 1.01. And then I think I'm at like 1.25 now, because it's just he adds so many things that I have to explain to the colorist at that point. I'm like, look, this is intended to look like this. Let us know if it's best. Um, there's definitely some humor in this panel, so just add emphasis to it, things like
Mm.
that. But it's, I want to say, more horror than comedy, but there's definitely a significant amount of humor in it.
So, Exodus Z, as we mentioned, is now available on Kickstarter. What is the key to creating a successful campaign? Since it sounds like you're right on the verge of being successful.
Um, right now I have a second computer next to me, so I've been paying attention. Today's my day. Today's my day. I have my first podcast with you, and we're literally inches away. So I really think we're gonna be successful today. We still have 13 days left, and we're at 2532 out of 2600. So I'm missing 68 bucks. 68 bucks. Yeah, $68. That's literally one person, maybe two people. Um, the Kickstarter itself, I sent it to Kickstarter November, October, and it looks nothing how it looks like now. I just started doing research. I started looking at everybody's stuff. I started figuring out. I'm like, I need to have something to attract people with. And one of the things was the digital deluxe, which you're included as well in. And I just started getting all my old contacts, and it benefited me because I've always built that rapport just the same way you do with other creators, and I've had a lot of people willing to help. But the key to the success of a Kickstarter, man, I don't think I'm the person to answer that, because I've been having anxiety for the past 15 days, just freaking out, looking every hour, just to be like, oh, it hasn't gone up. And then I think to myself, oh yeah, I'll leave it. I'll go to sleep early tonight. I'll wake up tomorrow morning. There's an extra $5. And I look back at it and I'm like, nothing. I'm like, okay. Um, I legitimately spammed everyone. Yeah, I legitimately spammed everyone, which I apologize to everyone that received this spam. But at the end of the day, it's work, and you gotta hustle. I contacted as many people as I could contact: Instagram, Facebook, personal friends, family. Started working on my Twitter. My Twitter was collecting dust, and the next thing I know, I'm pretty active with a few people on there, and I'm just constantly throwing like zombie memes, zombie jokes, just to, like, for people to notice. They start seeing Exit Z live on Kickstarter, and I'm like, oh, this idiot's making a dumbass joke about zombies eating before reaching the dentist office. And I'm like, okay, let me check it out. And then it's actually helped. You have to be surprisingly active. You would know as well, because I know you've had your fair share with Kickstarter. But to be successful, I paid attention. I looked at everybody else's stuff. I figured out I need to have some form of I wouldn't call it a gimmick, but some form of way to attract people, to make sure that they understand the value of these rewards and these tiers. Um, and I just kept on at it. I started following people on YouTube to see, that whole, how to be successful with 48,000 different points. And I was like, okay, let me just look at 5 of them to try to figure it out. And I kind of amalgamated it. I did my own thing. It's working. I can't deny that it's not working. I've backed a lot of projects that were unsuccessful, and for me to have 13 days left and be $68 shy, I consider that a win. Going to be doing stretch goals as well. I'm just basically getting any extra money, throwing it back at the backers. I have 1,003 ideas of what to do, but as long as we reach those stretch goals, man, these I really hope these backers will be happy with it and then come back for the issue too. I just need to make that big impression. I think that's my goal.
So, what rewards are you most excited about getting the hands of your fans and pledgers?
Okay, so the rewards start as low as $6, which is the digital. I have two different versions of digital, which at $25 is the digital deluxe, which includes the book plus a specific amount of books from other creators. Started out at what, 6 books, and then it just kept on growing each time I throw in an update, or I'll just keep on ask everybody that I used to do the reviews back in the day with. I'm like, hey, are you willing to, are you willing to donate a PDF? It's just for the assisting of my Kickstarter, my first Kickstarter, and that's the digital deluxe. The which is at 25. Physical standard covers 12. I actually been blessed to have an alternate cover on my first Kickstarter ever. It literally, it's a weird story, but it just landed on my lap, and I was just like, yeah, I need to grab it and go, just go for it. I also teamed up with a person here in Miami that they do pins, and I spoke to them in person. I was like, look, I'm running this, and then we started doing the numbers, and we're like, I think we could do it. So we're going to be doing pins as well. We have, like I said, the $25 digital. There's a huge list. You have both books, the standard cover and the alternate variant at 25 as well. The one that brought most attraction is the Heavenly Bundle. The Heavenly Bundle includes the digital deluxe, which I think it's at 15 or 16 books now, and there's still room for like one or two more. Both covers, the pin, and the book itself digital. So it's two covers, the pin, the book itself digital, plus the digital deluxe off of all the other creators. We had a retail tier. I tried to contact a few of them. Maybe they watch this and they'll be interested. $75. It's a good amount of books. Come on, we're almost there. We have the regular person's retail bundle, which it's not going to be as cheap as a retail bundle. It's at 100. It includes also, I believe, the digital deluxe, which the retailers doesn't come with the digital deluxe because at the end of the day, the retailers don't really need that. And it comes with a few other goodies. Then we had the original cover, which yesterday somebody picked it up. So that's what skyrocketed us. That's why I've been in high alert since then, because we've been slowly inching closer to the funding goal. And I was talking to John, and he basically told me, like, look, let's make 3 more tiers. 150, 250, 350, and it's basically he does original artwork for you, different sizes. 150 is at 5x8, 250 is at 9x12, and 350 is 11x17. Which at the end of the day, that one's not bad, because if you're looking for somebody to do a cover art, which he does all his stuff physically, not digitally. So he does that old school drawing. He'll have everything perfect. You don't get to see that anymore, at least not with many creators out there. which was actually part of something that I was looking into when I was looking for the artist. And like I mentioned, we had the cover, which was at 350. I'm sorry. Same as the 11 by 17. So hopefully there's somebody out there, maybe even a creator that's just like, look, I wanted to do a cover. They already know the pricing. It's already there. And at 350, it still includes everything from the Heavenly Bundle, which is still both covers, the pin, digital deluxe, plus that. So I think it's worth it, especially with you basically getting a reduced pricing off of him, just because it includes so much more along with it. But that's basically it for the current rewards.
So I know you said it ends soon. So when was the last date that the Kickstarter is active?
The Kickstarter finishes February 15th, 9:01 in the morning. So that means I must have activated at 9:01. I just noticed. I'm looking at it now and I noticed I'm like 9:01. I was like, that's almost punctual.
Well, Mr. Alvarez, it's an absolute pleasure talking with you. My listeners, hopefully get on Kickstarter immediately and pledge while you still have time. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Likewise. Take care.